Hello, Armchair Warriors. Tom here with a brand new series. It's a German campaign in Hearts of Iron 3 using the Black Ice modification version 11.3.5. Now, this can be a little bit different than normal German campaigns. For one, as is kind of put in the description, this is based off of the one of the stories, or I guess I should say, experimental thought exercises and the book Third Reich Victorious. It's a series of 10 different stories, thought experiments, if you will, of different points in time during World War II, in how different different events occurred, or specific events that may have occurred, or changed in a slight way, to the point what would the effect of that be? In this particular case, this particular series, I'm running out off that first story where Hitler, instead of joining the army, ends up joining the Navy. And meeting with a couple of future admirals, Rader and Donitz. Um, the effects that were felt from that particular episode, wherein he's on board a cruiser, molds and shapes him in such a different way that his hatred is effectively displaced from what it ended up being in the real world over to the British after the Battle of Jutland, to the point where he saw where the only way to defeat England, which he determined to be the true enemy that needed to be encountered and taken care of, the only way to defeat them would be to build as modern a navy as possible, as well as also, as large as possible for Germany. Obviously, they wouldn't be able to get onto a one-to-one parity with Great Britain, but the thinking was if only certain aspects could be changed, um, from where it was in the Battle of Jutland, instead of relying solely on capital ships and cruisers, try to get a more modern aspect to naval warfare, which would include the aircraft carrier, because he foresaw the advent of aircraft overall being the ruler of the battlefield whenever it was able to be placed into combat. He saw that with aircraft carriers, he could, at range, engage and sink an enemy fleet that may be larger than what he had available. Couple that with more of an unrestricted submarine warfare that, of course, Donitz was advocating for, pushing for, from late stages of World War One all the way through, of course, till now. We would definitely see as the supposition goes in that story, we would see a difference in how the war would progress and ultimately end up. So the story says, okay, Germany would have, by the time war starts in 1939, Germany would have three light carriers built, and a fleet carrier as well, the Graf Zeppelin, because Germany would put more resources towards the navy in um, this situation, this scenario, than they actually did in the real world, real war. And then the fact too that Hitler was more focused on a more British centric opposition there, than the internal domestic views that he was taking in the real world. A lot more resources could be brought to bear as well. Um, so I'm taking what the book has, that particular story has progressed and shown, and have done such in here in this game. Obviously, my hands are tied in regards to what Black Ice provides, and more specifically, what Hearts of Iron provides. If I wanted to really get down to the nitty gritty of it all, probably should create my own fork, if you will, of the Black Ice modification, and throw in some events that would um, make changes to the German industrial and technological fields to better reflect what the story that's in the Third Reich Victorious book says would have happened. In this case, the best I could do is essentially just cheating. There's a particular, if you open up the command prompt here, hit a little tilde key, you can actually type in some specific commands that will cheat for you. In this case, I took the first 2 turns, first 2 days, and did some instant research and instant construction, which, by the way, that also helps the computer. There's certain cheats that you can certainly do in the game that only affect you, but there's other cheats you can do that affect the whole entire world as a whole. So in this case, when I was saying, okay, let's go ahead and do some instant builds and instant research, everybody was benefiting to that. Fortunately, the AI, the first few turns of the game, isn't doing anything at all. Whatever they have in their queues is all they're going to have for at least the first few days. So I had, at least based upon my testing and whatnot, I was able to determine that I'd have about 2 days, the first 2 days of the gameplay, where I could go ahead and get this kicked off to get Germany in a better footing to better match what the book was indicating it should be getting to, and not adversely affect everybody else as well, in such a manner that, for example, that other countries were seeing large amounts of material, man and material. So, to wit, we already have a couple of light carriers built, which, again, that's what the book is advocating, is that there will be a couple of light carriers built by Germany by this point in the war, by history, this alternative history. So by 1936, Germany would already have 3 light carriers, and also at the same time they'd be working on building the Graf Zeppelin, which is their fleet carrier. I went a step further as well and said, well, if that's the case, Germany would also be taking their older battleships, their World War One era type battleships, uh, and converting them to light carriers as well, going with the whole entire theory of, well, let's go ahead and try to rule the seas by ruling the air. So we've got those being converted as well. As you can see with the Graf Zeppelin, we'll have that completed in this. If we were able to put enough IC towards it, it'd be getting completed by November of 1938. As it is, we've got several things that need to be built beforehand, which we'll certainly go ahead and take care of first before we move on, get into these areas here too. We did build some extra industry. I went through and places that had, like, say, Berlin, for example, that had heavy industry already in place. As the book detailed, um, Hitler working with Speer and other proponents of, more industrialized might for Germany, had more of industrial builds going on in the early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s even. So I took that to mean that, yeah, whatever I see that Germany starts with in this particular scenario here in the game with Black Ice, let's increase that aspect from a bit more. In addition, we also increase some of their resources as well too, because they'd be able to do more exploitation of their land, whatever the land was giving them. We are also, let me take a look at the technology here. Germany's a little bit further along with their transport ship technology, because one of the key things, besides Germany having carriers, so they could end up sinking more of the British fleet. One of the other aspects is a combination of that plus a total submarine domination of the whole entire island here, and also the Atlantic, Mediterranean, to cut off Britain's supply from their colonies. One of the other things was, eventually at some point they would have to invade England. Um, this alternative history, Hitler knew that still needed to count on the army, the Wehrmacht, to go ahead and take out what needed to be taken out there. But once France was conquered, or brought into its orbit, then from there they could launch the invasion of England. through naval means, meaning Marines would be attacking. Um, and once Marines took select ports along the coast, then the army as a whole could be ferried over into these ports, and then from there, armored and infantry just fan out throughout the countryside and take England. In addition, of course, conquest of the air, plenty of fighters, bombers, paratroopers as well. There'll be a lot of specialized units that would be engaged in taking on Britain through this type of exploitive warfare. So I am going kind of with that regards where, okay, I had to get some research going for uh, for the transport section because we need landing craft flotillas. We're at the point where, yeah, I need to research these transport ship uh, basics to get to the landing craft flotilla, and I kind of wish I could have gotten this a little bit earlier. At least got set up a fake event that would automatically give LCFs. But once war hits, we will get an alternative to that. So we can still work on getting the landing craft and even assault ships too for Germany down the road. Need work also on getting Marines. The Marine activation it's going to take a little bit here. We need to get the amphibious warfare equipment. That's this right here. Learned basing construction at least 2, which I think that's construction here. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I already did basing construction 1, so basing construction 2 will need to get learned. So we're not going to have Marines right off the bat, but I hope to have them in early 1940, maybe mid 1940. The book stipulated that, of course, everything still went the way that it went historically anyway. Germany invaded Poland within 3 weeks' time. Poland was conquered. That was after, of course, 36 to 39, Germany took over Austria and Czechoslovakia. After Poland fell, we had the False War, the Sitzkrieg. That lasted, of course, until early 1940. During that time, Germany pressed upon Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, all these countries that was surrounding them to join their sphere of interest. They would. The book stipulated that the author said that Germany was offering prime contracts, trading relations, things of that nature, if they joined in. All of Germany's eventual allies, of course, did so: Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, and Finland. After a period of time, Sweden, Norway joined in as well too, but the lowlands and Denmark did not. So, come early 1940, spring of 1940, Germany took over. As they did in the real world, took over Denmark, invaded the lowlands, France, and then at the very, very end, with the help of Italy, France fell early summer of 1940. From that point, the book says things still went on as they did in the past anyway. Again, big difference. They didn't have to invade. Germany didn't invade Norway at all. They didn't. Their naval forces weren't needed for that aspect whatsoever. Um, but after the fall of France, that's when Germany started getting ready for the invasion of the United Kingdom. The Battle of Britain happened, but instead of doing things a little bit differently, like pulling bombers off of attacking the airfields and radar installations too early, they kept up the attack on those and just made sure that all of Britain's air forces would be destroyed. Oh, one key fact I forgot about: when war kicked off, September 1st, 1939, Germany had a total of 4 carrier groups, 3 light carrier groups and 1 fleet carrier group. That they used one carrier group that sailed through Gibraltar, straight to Gibraltar, just before war began, and thus was able to be in the Mediterranean Sea and kind of ran rampant throughout there. The other 3, I think it was a light carrier group. The other 3 groups, 2 light carriers and 1 fleet carrier group, uh, both came from different points. One from Kiel, one from think of the northern North Sea, and the third, that was a Graf Zeppelin, was had originally been dispatched to ferry, or at least proceed along with the group that was ferrying the new German ambassador to America. It was originally heading to New York, but at some point just before war broke out, the carrier group turned and headed back to the United Kingdom. So that way, all three carrier groups focused on scapa flow instead of the war kind of kicking off with submarines sinking the Ark Royal. It ended up that there was three carrier groups that flew their torpedo bombers, dive bombers, and even a few level bombers in a Pearl Harbor style raid of scapa flow, sinking a wealth of British ships there, among them uh, the Ark Royal, of course, but a whole bunch of their carriers, Victorious and the Glorious, bunch of battleships, cruisers. The Hood escaped, but eventually would get sunk by one of the by one of the carrier groups later on. In any event, a lot of the British Navy was destroyed in Scapa Flow in a Pearl Harbor style type raid. So I guess at that point it'd be called a Scapa Flow style raid. And with the British Navy severely weakened, the German subs from the start of the war, uh, and even once Poland had fallen, they were starting to surround Britain. Germany had a lot of long-range subs that they used in the Atlantic, even around Gibraltar, to kind of cut off the flow of supply to the United Kingdom through those ways. Um, their Sea Wolf techniques were a little bit different. Now, I think it was something that Donuts in the real world kind of wanted to do, but Hitler was kind of meh about and just wanted to use them to try to sink as many merchant ship as possible, and even maybe going after battleships and things like that, like the real Scapa Flow raid by a submarine. Donuts in the book um, would use his subs in a hunting pattern where they weren't worried about the merchant ships. They wanted to sink all the escorts they could. So a couple of subs they would working in like 8 to 10 sub wolf packs, where a couple of the older subs would um, act as bait. They would hit a merchant ship, and then when the escorts came to take on those subs that they discovered, the rest of the group would then attack the escorts, end up sinking them. The book goes on to say that after a few months of this, into early 1940, the United Kingdom had lost over half of its destroyer force, its escort force, for these convoys, um, and thus, for to a point, there weren't that many convoys being guarded anymore. So at that point, then the wolf packs were able to hunt at their leisure, could actually surface, take on convoys with their deck guns, and cause a lot more havoc to the British. So with a combination of the decimation of their fleet up in Scapa Flow and these new wolf pack uh, tactics, Britain, according to the book, was starting to really, really get hurt immensely, to the point where, after the fall of France in June, Battle Britain ensued. So that way, not only the Royal Navy was greatly decimated, the Royal Air Force then became greatly decimated too. I think the book stipulates that I think around September is when the Battle of Britain started, and then shortly after that, after like a few months of the air raids, finally then Germany had its forces ready. Uh, the Royal Air Force decimated, Royal Navy not a threat. Germany was able to go ahead and send naval invasions from France, the conquered ports in France, to the southern ports in the United Kingdom, to the point where even they got, I think they sent some, said right up the Thames into London. They sent a panzer force. Um, so Britain falls in a matter of months with a combined um, attack on the Royal Navy at the start of the war. In the early 1940, the Royal Air Force destroyed, and culminates in late 40, early 1941, with Britain surrendering because Germany had landed all in southern Britain and had spread all throughout the country. That is ultimately what I'm going to be doing in this game. it's a great what if kind of story, and I want to see if it's something that can be replicated in Hearts of Iron. Like I said, I had to cheat a little bit to try to get this to actually work out. Um, the uh, the way the game works, obviously Germany's going to at a huge disadvantage for its navy. The the cheating I had to do kind of was to help improve the overall tech of the naval forces. Went in big. The big one is went into naval doctrines, got the fleet auxiliary carrier doctrine along with all of its relevant doctrines there. Got it because of the book saying that hey, Donuts worked with Hitler and built up the submarine navy and these new doctrines, these new tactics as well. Went in here and did some of the submarine doctrines as well. Got them up a bit more. You can see where the carrier techs they're far better. We actually got carrier, the first carrier tech learned. We're up to the point now where we just need to get some armor thickness, but yeah, we're learning those. We can then start getting more of the carrier and light carrier technology. Worked on some of the capital ship tech as well. Not too much. Cruiser tech was worked on too. Submarine tech was worked on a lot. Did some of the escort tech, and like I said, did the transports as well. Of course, couldn't leave out the CAGs, carrier aircraft. Had to work on those as well, and even got into here where we did some morale and crew training, bar pilot and crew training, I should say, and along with their tactics here that affects the CAG duty efficiency. Didn't really touch upon any of like the military armor for that. We're just leaving that as is. The way that the story progressed was Germany was focusing more on naval than land or air. Not that they, land and air were just being ignored, but they at least, the Navy, of course, had to see more of a focus on it in order to be the threat that it was going to become for England, and that's what I kind of replicated here in the game too. Threw in some aspects of the nation, the different nation doctrines here to replicate the fact that instead of Germany kind of tearing itself apart domestically, obviously, everyone should know in the real world, Hitler went against a whole entire class of people in Germany, those that practiced the Jewish faith, and a lot of them were the uh, kind of like the bankers, the industrial might of Germany. So without having to go against going against them, now we're looking at okay, their knowledge, their experience is going to be utilized by Germany in order to fight a more common enemy, the English. That they're being pointed out to as like the ones that are the cause for the downfall of Germany. Also, too, the book pointed out that with that change in focus, too, a lot of Germany's R&D people would actually stay in the country and would not flee because their beliefs would not be questioned, by Germany. So as such, then the the secret projects here for for searching out the nuclear bomb would come to the forefront. And in fact, the story even goes on to say, the war in Russia happened same time, but it actually ended in a victory for Germany because a couple of nukes were dropped on key locations, Moscow, and I forget where else, Stalingrad maybe, in Russia. And with that, with the destruction of the Soviet high command, Russia collapsed and Germany found itself ruling the whole entire European theater. In fact, actually, I think it goes on further where, like, Hitler passes away in the late 40s or early 50s, something like that, due to old age or illness. And then I think Rader or Donitz, one of the two, takes over, and the book kind of leaves off with saying, Germany was involved, kind of like taking the place of Russia in the real world. Germany is coming to the forefront, where you've got the Nicaraguan War, you've got the Cuban crisis, that Germany's instigating against America. Things that Vietnam War they were involved with, Afghanistan War they're involved with, stuff like that. And it was like, interesting, kind of a thought experiment. But definitely, I had to put some points into getting some of the secret, getting at least the nuclear fission theory, and I think I did something else too to kind of get this a little bit pushed. But that's where we start here, is with some advances that the Germans obviously don't get in either Hearts of Iron 3 or even Black Ice for that matter. Um, the advances definitely are far fetched, quite honestly, as far as the game is concerned, and no doubt the real world. But again, interesting thought experiment from that book, and I wanted to kind of give it a try to see if I could replicate that same thing here in game, and actually see what happens when Germany becomes maybe a quasi Japan, I suppose, for the North Sea, with with carriers, with enough carriers, conceivable that Germany could win the naval war, and we see what happens from that point. Um, with that, without further ado, here we're going to go ahead and get some time spent moving forward in the game here, and just kind of see what's what. Obviously, we still have agitators that they don't like what's going on, but we we can certainly take care of them. Uh, I think we're doing okay in regards with all of our. Oh, I need. Oh no, I don't want to automate trade. I do need to make some trades for some of the resources that we're really short on, like metal especially. I had built some of those resources, but obviously not enough. We are making 25. So if we just say, well, actually, I could go just about a year and not run out of rare materials at this rate where I'm at. So we're not too worried about that. I need to buy metal and energy. So see if the Soviet Union will sell us some energy. They will. And see if the United States will sell us some steel, metal, and they will. Okay, we need about another 50 metal again. This natural resource focus should help mitigate some of that. Yeah, we'll do historical buildup. Basically, we're just doing historical buildup for everything else. When naval events pop up, we're going to go ahead and accept them. Um, so, like I think when the Hanover appears, that, and there's one other one. Both are coastal battleships. So when they both appear, we'll go ahead and accept them, and I can look at converting them to light carriers as well. Okay, we defeat them quite handily. Um, let's see here. Oh, actually, I guess we're okay with the metal at this point now. That might be because I might not even need the 50 energy now that I think about it. Let's go ahead and kill that off. That was the start of the game, so of course our resources were not where they're needing to be. Supplies. Actually, I think reinforcement needs to be taken care of. Supplies are okay. You see, yeah, craft sample at this point, 1945, but that's with the current rate. Oh, I think I had some troops that had to move out of here. We do. We want to remove that command, and this guy can come out here. And I think there's some other SS forces around. Let's see, there should be one more around here too. Up north. There we are. Just like to move the SS in one centralized location. Money for rail rares? No. Finland will do though. Romania wants energy. We're not going to buy from Turkey, and I don't think we can't change any of the laws at this point. Let me just double check on that. I know I had dropped from totalitarian to repression, so I could at least gain a little bit of IC, and also some IC efficiency. So drop down the 6-month draft and volunteer army because we're not at war. We don't need to be losing IC based on that. Full mobilization is the best we can be at this point until war. The consumer product orientation, that's probably the best we can be too. Yeah, that is the best we can be. If we switched over to mixed industry, the IC gain might be outweighed by the IC we got to spend on consumer goods. So we'll have to wait on that till we're a little bit better off. Propaganda press, of course, is the best we can do there, and specialist training throughout. Currently, the leaders I have are probably the best ones for this scenario, and also to help improve in Germany overall. We're going to leave the leadership modifier, William Frickon, until I don't think there's an aircraft carrier guy, but we may move Carl Witzel in soon enough. Saying about maybe a year or two. We could use the leadership modifier now until we can start getting a lot of leadership through research and also conquests, namely Austria and Czechoslovakia. And then we can switch over to the submarine guy, and that will give us some bonuses to subs, getting that submarine tech a lot quicker. I wish it didn't jump around so much. We have autosave on only because when I was playing my Japanese campaign, I was seeing the game crash quite a bit. So I need to needed to make sure that we were getting the saves taken care of in a timely enough fashion. I know autosaves can also contribute to crashes, but I feel with at least the autosave, there's at least a chance that it'll save and be okay. On that note, how often are we saving? Is in our controls game. So we're doing it weekly. Let's do it monthly for right now. I don't think we need to do it any quicker than that. I've got moving the garrisons up to the forefront there. There's all of our surpluses. Oh, was that a tech that popped up or no? See, I got a lot of tech sitting in here. Don't have a lot of no, so it wasn't. Don't have a lot of research points here, but that's because we're trying to get our officer ratio up with the 3 new carriers and a whole bunch of the other pre-war type builds completed early. It's basically all the naval stuff that got completed early. And again, going with the thinking that Germany focuses on Navy and thus will want to get its more modern ships and a lot more ships out than they did in the real world. That's a lot of personnel, officers that we need. So I have to make good on all that by trying to get more and more officers in. We're making almost $5. Let's say no on that, and we'll order our next round of troops. We're still going to be doing these because that's what in the story. That's exactly what they did as well. Reclassifying the Deutschland class. We shall go ahead and reclassify it so that we can say, yeah, we're going to go and start making larger, heavier ships. That's broadcasting, but won't be able to afford anything there. We're doing artillery focus. We want to upgrade, of course. We're going to do police buildings. We're losing quite a bit of supplies on that. Let's wait on that just momentarily. We're going to try to nationalize the private sector. Let's see how that works. Did it work? It did not. We have that 5% hit. Sharnust and Gneisenau, we're going to go ahead and do the larger guns. It'll take longer, but that's okay. We are doing the heavy anti-tank guns, or tank destroyer, actually. Yes, we're going to upgrade our mixed support brigades with amphibious armor. This is all part of the naval focus. Again, Germany needs naval or amphibious armor, ostensibly for the attack on England, of course, but also for any river attacks in Russia. Yep. Alrighty, we're going to build that facility, and we're going with what are we going with now? Wehrmacht. So this event series, whenever it pops up, I'm just kind of flip-flopping back and forth. It started with Wehrmacht, then we went with SS. After that, we got 2 SS. Bred in units. We're going to go with the Wehrmacht again here. No longer receive money for energy. Well, that kind of sucks, but that's all right. And we're just going to stage them up here. Here, by the way, is my hero leader. I'm not 100% certain what I'm going to make them as. Possibility would be to throw a Marine corps on here, or not a corps, but a Marine division on here. Because I'm a pretty good leader overall. The all those specifics are fairly above average to a regular leader, but we get a whole bunch of bonuses. The amphibious attack and defense, of course, really well. Amphibious attack period would be really good, but all the other attacks are far better than your standard leader unit. Another possibility would be to build an armor unit on this, or even like say, a specialized unit like say a mountaineer division or ski troop division, even something along those lines. Not quite sure yet what I want to do with them. We're down to 12,000 now, so I gotta wait. That's what I was looking for. I didn't want to run the risk of my supplies getting ganked here. We need to push that to the forefront so we can get that completed. And you know what? We're going to pull this up to, say, 36. Try to get some more supplies there. 600 supplies a day, roughly. Yep. Time to prepare our budget. Yes. Yes. We want to deploy, upgrade, etc. We have high popularity. Arc Royal was launched. If there's any, like Arc Royal, I think actually gets launched a bit later in the war. Anything like that you see, I would say it's part and parcel of the method of cheating that I was doing. The instant construction and instant research means that all countries participate in that. Where anything I have in the research or research queue or the build queue, once I have those, the instant construction on, anything in here that has IC pointed towards it would get instantly built, no matter how much time is remaining. Same with the instant research. Anything that I have in here that has points going towards it would instantly get learned, get finished, no matter where it was at. It could even be like a 1945 tech. Sitting there in the queue. As long as it's in the queue and it's green, it's got points going towards it, it'll get completed. So there will be some blowback in regards to that. The AI will also have gained some stuff that, like I said, there's at least my testing determined that there's at least a couple days before the AI put anything extra into the queues. But each of the AI major countries at least start with something, usually about a half dozen projects in each category, research and production. More in some case, more in other cases too. My thinking is with a more naval-centric Germany that certainly raises more alarms, rings more bells than not. So anything that might, like the Ark world getting finished, obviously a lot quicker than it does in the real world. Um, I think that's fine. The idea is not necessarily to cheat to the point where Germany starts with, a lot more of an advantage than anybody else, period. But just that, okay, these are things that Germany is going to be doing that they wouldn't have done anyway. And as such, the other countries are reacting to it. So Britain pushed the Ark Royal up faster, try to get it done quicker. Same with any other countries that have anything in their production queue at the start of the game that would have gotten completed quicker. Same thing. They would see this, this Germany, who I'm playing, just trying to run rampant and grow large, grow big, and will take steps to in their turn try to match with what Germany's doing. Excuse me. We will give them 50 supplies. Okay, for money I'll take it because we kind of need it. There's our police centers, which I think will help our money as well. We need to get more supplies before we can really do this. We don't want to gain descent or anything like that. Let's see here. I think we're actually okay. We're going down 60. Again, actually, it would take well over a year. At this rate, it'll take well over a year before I go down to 0 in rare material. So we're okay. We don't need to buy rare materials at this point. I saw it. I had exit out of it. I saw where someone was offering me money for, would buy fuel from me, and I just exit out of that. Shame. Okay, here's one of the first. Excuse me. Actually, let me grab a drink of water real quick. Hold on. Sorry about that. My throat was getting really dry. This is one of the events. There's another one right after this. The Schleichen. Um, this is basically normally what I do is I say I break her up to get the rare materials and all the other stuff there. In this case, though, if we commission it, we'll lose some supplies, sure, which I really can't afford, but that's okay. A little bit of manpower, some officers, but we do end up getting an extra torpedo boat and another passenger ship. So in this case here, we're going to go ahead, do that. It's going to sail over here, match and meet up with the other passenger ship that I have there. We're going to drop off that other torpedo boat. And this CBB, this coastal battleship, is going to sail over to Kiel to eventually get refitted to become a light carrier. Which reminds me, I don't think I had built. Or, let me check just to make sure. So that's the Graf Zeppelin's carrier CAGs. I didn't build any CAGs for those guys. So let's go ahead and do just that. And you see, this is interesting. Is this level of CAG is the BF-109, but also which I guess for a CAG fighter, I guess. But their bomber, torpedo bomber, I'm assuming is what this is going to be, is the HS-123. Interesting. Let's go ahead and build 4 for the 2 light carriers we have in there now, and the 2 light carriers we're going to have in the near future. Yeah, we got all these subs will be getting completed soon, so we'll start putting more points towards the Graf Zeppelin pretty soon here. What does Brazil want? No, we don't want to do that. Now, meanwhile, we can put all those torpedo boats together like so, but let's do this now. Let's separate them out like that. There we go. Okay, I like the way that looks now. And like I said, the Schleichen will be the next one coming up. That will be pretty soon here. I need 15,000 supplies before we can say okay on the winter games, which are already underway, but I guess, we'll pay for it later. There we go. We can do the small entertainment show, but we got $1,000. That's not, that may hurt us. So this wasn't mentioned at all about the railway artillery in the story. And honestly, it's rarely mentioned at all in real history. One of the channels is a World War II channel that I watch. That does it's World War II day by day. It's kind of just like that. It's World War II by the week. Um, each week a new episode pops up, and it's current according to the current week and month, but it's based upon whatever that time and year that they're currently covering. So like right now, I think they're in 1944, and more specifically August of since today's August today, or when I'm filming this video is August 1st. It may not be August 1st by the time you watch the video, but anyway, they even don't mention anything about the railway artillery all that much. I think there was something mentioned in the siege of Sevastopol in 1942 or 43. I think 1942. I'm trying to remember, but it may have been like a brief mention that Germany in the siege had a railway artillery gun pulled up to that city to lob shells in there. But yeah, it's not something that's like it was used all that much and stuff. And to be honest, again, I'm going with the thinking that Germany's trying to put more of its resources toward Navy than anything else. We're still still building army units, divisions overall, and stuff like that. But certain things like this type of program, I feel may not actually kick off. These take a lot of resources, not a lot of manpower, but just takes a lot of resources. And honestly, it also takes, while it does say that these are obsolete guns that were on World War One mountings that got modernized, we can say no on this because Radar's like, hey, I could use these guns for my ships. We can modernize them. We can take the guns. Even though they're World War One guns, we can still take them, rebore them, put them in new mounts for our new ships, and that'll help save some time. So that's how I'm going to kind of play it. It's rather than just be like, trying to get everything all at once. I'm going to say no on select things. This will be one of such those. I'm not going to worry about the railway artillery. That will make things a bit difficult for us when it comes time to attack Russia, but we'll have to get around that by one way or another. Okay, Finland wants to sell us rares. Czechoslovakia wants to sell us rares too. We'll have to wait till we have enough money. Already in 1st of March. Cool. Rares. Energy they want to buy from us. We will certainly sell. Yes, we want to upgrade. Now we're down to medium popularity, so we lost some of our leadership here for research. That's all right. We're 86%. Once I get to 90%, then I'll kind of bring this up to 40. I'll double it up to 40. Because we're doing 184 officers a day. That would have it to about almost 90, maybe 100 officers a day. We're needing 7,000 more officers. So if I do that, so once I hit 90%, if we start doing 100 officers a day, then it might take about a year, and that's fine. We're still 3 years away from anything. Cool. So we got some coastal subs that got built. We can form the Horst vessel. And sure, we want to continue it because that gives us some pretty good resources. Pisses Japan off, but it is what it is. That reminds me, I need to set my IC repayment to 60%, which will really hurt us with IC, but it'll get stuff paid off really quick too. And bear with me here. Can we click OK on that? No. I'm playing with two monitors, but unfortunately I had to real quick minimize the game so I could bring the HOI, the Hearts of Iron 3 utility window out into the second monitor. It was hiding behind the game. Money, energy. Cool. We will sell you energy. All right. Real quick, where are we at with our production? Whoops. Obviously, we're not doing too good, but I don't want my supplies to get hurt. That's a big thing. In a couple days, we'll get all our IC back. Yep. So we get our rare materials from China, which will certainly help us. Argentina wants us to buy fuel. We don't want to. So let the Winter Games begin. We will lose 10,000 supplies. Let's do this. The game just saved back on March 1st. If you go to negative resources, you can get the game can crash. So doing this, we're gonna lose 10,000 supplies. I'm hoping the game doesn't crash. We'll see what happens here. Nope. Okay. So doing that, we also kind of cheated in a bit too. You saw we dropped down to well, negative 5,000. But since you can't stay in the negatives, you can't be below zero. It can't be below zero, and you can't be over 99,999 for more than a day. It automatically adjusts you to whatever's closest. So if you go over, if you're 100,000 or over, it drops you down to 99,999 in the next day. If you're under zero or under one, I guess, well, yeah, under zero. If you're in a negative, it'll bring you up to a positive amount. And I kind of, role played a bit too, cheating a bit, but I don't want to fully cheat. So I threw all this IC that I've got into supplies. So that way I can get, I can at least say, making a concerted effort to try to pull myself out of the negative zone. I could have been like, just leave it the way it is. We'll just, earn a few supplies and it'd be all good. But I won't cheat that hard. There we go. We lost the 60%. So how soon does our resupplies come back up here? Coming back pretty good. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, we got a bunch of stuff coming in here. We're over $2,000, but we're going to postpone trading for 6 months. And we're going to postpone our mine expansion plans for 6 months as well. We don't have enough money to handle either of those. Oh, reinforcements. Cool. Bring that down a bit. So we're at 10,000 supplies. Let's drop this down to about 80. That should be fine. Okay, they want us to buy, and they want us to buy. We don't want to buy anything. I want to save my money. Need to get over $3,000. And more importantly, eventually I need to get over that much more. Here's the Hanover. We actually want to commission her. Granted, we can break her up and get a whole bunch of resources, but again, just like we did with the Schleichen, we want to commission the Hessen here. I think it appears in the same locale. It does. So take the torpedo boat off. Let's add it to that group there. Okay. And then take the transport boat off. We'll ship it out to there. And then the Hanover will come to Kiel for refit. Czechoslovakia stole some of our supplies. I'm not too concerned. Let's go ahead and group them together, and now we shall convert them to light carriers. Yeah, you can see I need to build more light cruisers sooner than later, because light cruisers do take a little while. But I have my first carrier group here is just simply, actually it needs to be renamed first, CVL Navy. There we go. 3 light carriers. I need to have at least, this has got to be at least a 7-ship fleet. So I need to build 2 more light cruisers for them. Then here, this is actually okay the way it is. It's two more light carriers, so we got 5 total, plus light cruisers. And then here we have 2 more light carriers, so we got 7 light carriers total by war start, hopefully. And I need to build at least 4 light cruisers, I feel. That should be sufficient. And then for our Graf Zeppelin, I need to build some light cruisers for it as well. Kriegsmarine, we kind of need to do something with it. I may actually, I gotta see how fast the Admiral Hipper is. 31.95. So we're about as fast as the light cruisers, faster than the light carriers, faster than light carriers. So yeah. So the Hipper, I can actually detach the Hipper and put it on one of my carrier groups. That could be pretty good to do. The pocket battleships, I'm probably going to detach them off and use them as raiders out in the Atlantic. And then all the destroyers I have here, they're going to be attached to all the battleships that we're currently building and will be building down the road. We've got the, Scharnhorst and Gneisenau that need to be built. Hopefully I'm pronouncing those correctly. I do have some German heritage, but pronunciation's not my strong point here. I would love to do one of these things here. We need the Imperial University, but I don't have the funds for it right now. We gotta wait. Money for rares, money for rares, money for rares. I like to sell some stuff here. He demands action. So either our hard attack or soft attack is going to get a bit of a bonus while the other gets a penalty for a month. So we don't care about that. But the big thing is we either get 30 points towards the tech for industrial efficiency or officer recruitment. Nice, not a big deal either way. Dance show, cool. Closing ceremonies, cool. We don't want to liberate the overseas colonies that we lost. We don't care about that. So we're getting additional resources and crude oils. We're moved into stage 1. And at this point, I think we've gone about an hour. Let me go ahead here and make sure we don't have anything. Oh, okay. So we do have some things here. There we go. Let's go ahead and say yes to all of these. We want to do the full divisions. There we go. This is going to hurt us again because we're going to be applying 60% of our IC towards all of these new wonderful things that are getting built. And you can see that 6% already hit in. We can take a look and see how many days it's going to be. Machine gun focus. That's 1938 tech. We'll go ahead and cancel that. And road network is stolen by Lithuania. That's not going to help them overly much. Money for fuel, money for rares. We're not going to do that either. Let's let this tick. Okay, so 2 months, 60 days. We owe over 6,000 IC, 6282 IC to be precise, but we're putting 106 each day towards our IC debts. So around 60 days, we'll take care of that. We can't build any of those. We don't have enough money. I'm going to just outright save the game at this point. And also thank you guys for watching. It's been an hour. Don't want to take too much longer. We've already gone through first third of the or quarter of the year. 1936. A lot of the time was spent just explaining, giving the backstory on why I decided to do this type of gameplay, and also what the expectation is going to be. But I thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next episode. Goodbye.